back to Access Tech Live.
And we're back on Access Tech Live. Now, every year at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference, young developers are invited to submit apps and ideas for a Swift programming competition.
I should mention that Swift is Apple's programming language for, of course, their iOS devices. Now, Stephen, WWDC is often referred to as Dub by the kids these days. I mentioned that because our guest is going to refer to it a couple of times. Now, this year, a young Canadian coding prodigy made waves as one of those winners. I caught up with Elena Galluzzo. She's 22 years old, a developer from Toronto, and she had a groundbreaking project that uses AI to help people with disabilities navigate everyday challenges more easily. Let's chat with her. Elena, I want to thank you, number one, for joining me. It's always fun to have young entrepreneurs, especially ones who are excited about coding here. So thank you for taking the time to join me. I'm sure it's been quite the journey since WWDC.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me on the show. And it was a great experience going to the Dub.
Before we even dive into the app, I need to know, because I've never been there. I want to be there, of course, one day. Tell me about the experience itself. Was it like, were you able to actually enjoy it, or did you feel like you were looking over your own shoulder trying to take in the experience?
I really enjoyed the experience. Every day that we were there, all the distinguished winners, we had a jam-packed schedule, and I think easily one of the, if not the coolest experience that I've had, and the other students were also raving about the experience. We had a lot of hands-on sessions and just got to speak to other enthusiasts, so it was really cool.
Can you describe the app for people who've never had a chance to use it? What does it do? What kind of things it helps with?
Yeah, for sure. So Care Capsule is a playground I submitted to this year's Swift Student Challenge, and it's meant to help assist with daily tasks for the elderly, such as setting up a medication schedule or keeping track of reminders and tasks, as well on the support side, allowing users to set up albums to look back on their positive memories, and also has a logic and machine learning based chatbot that helps users with app-related questions in case they're maybe not as technically literate. But also provides the user with mental health resources if it detects a low sentiment in those users' messages.
Now, did you develop Care Capsule specifically for this challenge, or was it something that came to be because of just personal experiences?
So I did develop Care Capsule for the challenge, but the inspiration was due to my personal experiences. So the prompt for the contest was to create a playground. So it was like the concept of the app using Swift playgrounds, and my inspiration was the fact that I've lived with my grandparents for my entire life, so I wanted to create an app that was in that space.
What challenges were you trying to solve, or what was the experience that you had living with your grandparents that sparked the idea, I need to do something for them?
How I felt about it is that my grandparents have a large care network. I live with my parents and sister as well, but not everybody has that kind of care network. I feel like it would be easier to, I guess, maybe lose track of your day-to-day tasks if maybe your memory isn't at what it used to be, or also you may feel a bit more lonely if you don't have that care network. So those are things that inspired me to create create a playground like Care Capsule, and also just the fact that Canada has an aging population. So these are all things that I considered.
That honestly, you blow my mind, because I don't know how you got to the point where you said, okay, I need to develop something like this. What brought you to coding in the first place? Like, what made you decide that this is something that you wanted to pursue?
So there was a lot of different factors. I would say the factor that made me stick to it once I started was that when I found it really a lot of fun. I'm still learning every day, and the learning process is a lot of fun. But another thing was it's really cool to be able to develop something, like not just to code, but to develop and create an app that I could use or other people can use. And I think a lot of other developers could say the same.
Can you walk us through the process of development? Like, what were some of the steps and the milestones when you said, okay, I'm going to do this? And what kind of milestones did you hit along the way to make sure you're going to hit the target and make sure you're going to be able to have it ready in time to submit to the challenge?
Yeah, so I think this is an interesting question because we didn't really have that much time to create this playground. And I found myself kind of weighing and having to think quickly, like, what do I want to include in this app and how should I go about setting it up? And so I first started off with the idea, what I wanted to include, and also the UI, and then started seeing also how would I be able to implement this, and what kind of frameworks or tools do I need to use. And another point of working on Care Capsule was I wanted to learn new frameworks as well, not just the ones that I already was working on. So I tried to incorporate all of this while also creating an app that would be useful and also user friendly. So that was the overall process, and then I worked to developing the playground.
Now, going into WWDC this year, you took advantage of frameworks and stuff that were announced and readily available. Now, we're fast forward a couple weeks later, and you've seen all this new Apple Intelligence, all the new frameworks and everything you've had chance to play with hands-on at WWDC. Do you find that you came back going, oh my God, I need to start using this, or I need to start using that, and coming away with new ideas? Or what was that experience like?
Hearing the announcements at WWDC was really exciting, not just for me, but for the other student developers. But a lot of things that they announced are not currently available yet. So for now, I'm just looking forward to those things. Like, for example, Apple Intelligence. What I was really excited, though, was Swift Assist, because I think that the concept sounds so cool. It'll help speed up the development process for sure. And I'm curious to see what it's capable of and just to play around with it.
What was the experience like meeting Tim Cook for the first time? Was that a little bit humbling, a little bit scary? Were you sweating a little bit?
It was really cool. We weren't aware that we were meeting Tim Cook until Tim Cook entered the room. So that was really a great surprise. And we didn't even, because it was a surprise, we didn't even have time to be nervous about it or that build up. But he was very nice, very enthusiastic, and very encouraging, and was really interested in hearing the inspiration behind our apps. So it was a once in a lifetime experience.
Definitely. Are you gonna come away from WWDC with some new friends, some developers in the community that you're gonna keep in touch with, you think?
Yes, for sure. So we still have a means of communication of everybody's social media, just staying connected, and I think part of the reason why we were all able to bond so well is because we all share this common passion. So I definitely took away that from the experience.
So let's look ahead for a second. What are your plans now for Care Capsule? Are there new features or improvements that you think you're going to take away from once, obviously, some of the intelligence tools are going to be available to us, hopefully this summer, we're all hoping for? Any plans?
So right now I've moved Care Capsule from being a playground to an Xcode project, so I am continuing to work on it, and I want it to become an app that is able to be released on the App Store and can actually be useful to people, and hopefully incorporate those new Apple frameworks once they come out. So yeah, I want to keep developing on that, and also just developing on apps in the future, other apps.
Now, before I let you go, I got to ask you from your perspective, based on your experience, you never had a week or so to kind of relax. What advice would you give young developers like you who are kind of inspired to take similar journeys and create apps, and especially making the positive impact? Because that's, I think, the biggest part of this picture. It's not just about developing the app, but developing an app for a purpose like that is super, super important.
Yeah, so I think my advice would be, I think that if you have an idea that you want to create and you think that it would be useful for, let's say, yourself or for other people, or just something that you think that would be enjoyable, it doesn't have to be have to have a specific purpose. I would say just go for it. This contest was a great motivator. If you have motivation for, let's say, an end goal of like being able to use your app or submitting it to Swift Student Challenge next year, I say go for it. It's really rewarding to be able to create something that you're proud of and that people can use. And who knows, maybe you'll get invited to the next WWDC.
Maybe that's my ticket. Maybe that's what I got to do is I got to start building apps. Maybe I'll get there. Elena, thank you so much for taking the time to join me. Please come back on the show. Keep in touch. Let us know when the app is available. We'd love to talk about it more.
Thank you.
When we returned, Stephen had a chance to play with the Rabbit R1 AI device. So what does he think? How accessible is it? That, plus some really cool keyboards, coming up after a quick break here on Access Tech Live.
There's more Access Tech Live to come. Get involved and have your say at Access Tech Live on social media. We'll be right back.